शाश्वत प्रशांतम अभयम प्रतिबोधमात्रम शुद्धं समं सत् असत् परमात्म तत्वम् शब्दो न यत्र पुरुकारवकावन् क्रियार्थो माया परस्या अभिमुखे च विल्यमाना तत्वै पदं भागवत परमस्य पुंसा ब्रह्मेति यत् विदुरजस्र सुखं विशोकम् शाश्वत प्रशांतम् अभयं प्रतिबोधमात्रम् शुद्धं संसत् असत परमात्म तत्वम् शब्दो न यत्र पुरुकारकावान् क्रियार्थो माया परत्य अभिमुखे च विल्यमाना तत्वै परं भगवतः परमस्य पुंसो ब्रह्मेति यत् विदुरजस्र सुखं विशोकम् शाश्वत प्रशांतम् अभयं प्रतिबोधमात्रम् शुद्धं समं सत् असत् परमात्म तत्वम् शब्दो न यत्र पुरुकारकावान् क्रियार्थो माया परैत्य अभिमुखे च विल्यमाना तत्वै परं भगवतः परमस्य पुंसो ब्रह्मेति यत् विदुरजस्र सुखं विशोकम् शाश्वत eternal prashantam without disturbance abhayam without fear from a consciousness opposed to the material counterpart shuddham uncontaminated samam without distinction sat asat of the cause and effect paramatma tattvam the principle of primeval cause shabdah speculative sound na not yatra where there is puru karakavan resulting in fruitive action kriya artha for the matter of sacrifice Maya, illusion. Paraite, flies away. Abhimukhe, in front of. Cha, also. Vilajjamana, being ashamed of. Tat, that. Vai is certainly. Padam, ultimate phase. Bhagavataha, of the personality of a Godhead. Paramasya, of the Supreme. Pumsaha, of the person. Brahma, the Absolute. Iti, thus. Yat, which. Viduh, known as. Ajashra, unlimited. Sukham, happiness. Vishokam, without grief. What is realized as the absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss, without grief. That is certainly the ultimate phase of supreme enjoy, the personality of a Godhead. He is eternally void of all disturbances and fearless. He is the complete consciousness as opposed to matter, uncontaminated and without distinction. He is the principal, primeval cause of causes and effects, in whom there is no sacrifice for fruitive activities and in whom the illusory energy does not stand. What is realized as the absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss without grief. That is certainly the ultimate phase of the supreme enjoy, the personality of a Godhead. He is eternally void of all disturbances and fearless. He is complete consciousness as opposed to matter, uncontaminated and without distinction. He is the principal, primeval cause of all causes and effects, in whom there is no sacrifice for fruitive activities, and in whom the illusory energy does not stand. The supreme enjoyer, the personality of a Godhead, is the supreme Brahman or the Samam Bonam because of his being the supreme cause of all causes. The conception of impersonal Brahman realization is the first step. Due to his distinction from the illusory conception of material existence. In other words, impersonal Brahman is a feature of the absolute distinct from the material variegatedness. Just as a light is a conception distinct from its counterpart, darkness, but the light has its variegatedness which seen by those who further advance in the light. And thus the ultimate realization of a Brahman is the source of the Brahman light. The supreme personality of a Godhead, the Samambonam of the ultimate source of everything. Therefore, meeting the personality of a Godhead includes the realization of the impersonal Brahman as realized at first in contrast with the material inviolate. The personality of a Godhead is the third step of Brahman realization. As explained, In the first canto, one must understand all three features of the Absolute: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Pratibodha Matram is just the opposite conception of the material existence. In matter, there are material miseries, and thus, in the first realization of the Brahman, there is a negation of such a material environment. And there is a feeling of an external existence distinct from the pangs of birth and death, disease and old age. That is the primary conception of the impersonal Brahman. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Soul of everything, and therefore the Supreme conception of affection is realized. The conception of affection is due to the relationship of the soul to soul. A father is affectionate to his son because there is some relationship of nearness between the son and father. But that sort of affection in the material world is full of imbibe. When the personality of a Godhead is made, the fullness of affection becomes manifested because of the reality of the affectionate relationship. He is not the object of affection by material tinges of body and mind, but he is the full, naked, uncontaminated object of affection for all living entities, because he is the super soul or Paramatma within everyone's heart. For the Lord is awakened. As such, there is an unlimited flow of everlasting happiness, without the fear of its being broken, as we have experienced here in the material world. The relationship with the Lord is never broken. Thus, there is no grief and no fear. Such a happiness is inexplicable by words, and there can be no attempt to generate such a happiness by fruitive activities, by arrangements and sacrifice. But we must also know that happiness, unbroken happiness, exchanged with the Supreme Person, the personality of a Godhead as described in this verse, transcends the impersonal conception of the Upanishads. In the Upanishads, the description is more or less negation of the material conception of things. But this is not denial of the transcendental senses of the Supreme Lord. Herein also the same affirmed in the statements above, the material elements. They are all transcendental, free from all contamination of a material identification. And also the liberated soul are not devoid of the senses. Otherwise, there cannot be any reciprocation of unhampered spiritual happiness exchange between them and spontaneous unbroken joy. All the senses, both of the Lord and of the devotees, are without material contaminations. They are so because they are beyond the material cause and effect. As clearly mentioned herein, Sad Asatah Param. The illusory material energy cannot work there. Being ashamed before the Lord and his transcendental devotees, in the material world, the sense activities are not without grief. But here it is clearly said that the senses of the Lord and the devotees are without any grief. There is a distinct difference between the material and spiritual senses. And one should understand it without denying the spiritual senses because of the material conception. The senses in the material world are surcharged with the material ignorance. In every way, the authorities have recommended purification of the senses from the material conception. In the material world, the senses are manipulated for individual and personal satisfaction. Whereas in the spiritual world, the senses are properly used for the purpose for which they were originally made, namely the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Such a sensual activities are natural and therefore sense gratification there is uninterrupted and unbroken by the material contamination because the senses are spiritually purified. And such a satisfaction of the senses is equally shared by the transcendental reciprocators. Since the activities are unlimited and constantly increasing, there is no scope for material attempts or artificial arrangement. Such a happiness of transcendental quality is called Brahma Saukhyam, which will be clearly described in the fifth canto. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sayitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Pashatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here in this verse, Brahmaji is explaining about the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. What is realized as the absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss without grief. As explained in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the three stages one can realize about the personality of the Godhead. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdate. When persons he realizes Lord in the first stage of God realization, that is Brahman, that time he negates all the material things. Naiti, not this, not that, not this, not that. Because there they negate even Lord's personal form. And that's why it is considered that it's not a perfect realization of the God. Because further it is explained that there you realize the unlimited bliss witut anything. And Brahman realization has some sort of a grief, that as Lord explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Avyakta asakta chetasam kleshati. They suffer actually, that's what Lord says. Avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavatviravapya. They undergo a lot of suffering to realize the Brahman feature of the Lord. And as per this verse, the ultimate realization of the absolute truth, which gives unlimited bliss which is not there. Then how to get that unlimited bliss? When someone makes a further advancement, then he goes for the Paramatma realization. And Lord, he resides in everyone's heart as a Paramatma. But still, to attain that particular stage where he can realize Paramatma, he has to again undergo severe austerities, like following the Ashtanga Yoga. Yam, Niyam, Prana, Pratyahar, Pranayam, Asana, Dhyan, Dharana, and Samadhi. Ultimately, when he situates into the trance, which is known as a Samadhi, Samyak Avastitena Sa, where he controls all his senses and concentrates his mind upon the Lordship who resides in the heart as a 400 form. And as Prabhupada says in this purport, that there is some development of conception of affection. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Soul of everything, and therefore in the Supreme Conception, affection is realized. And the conception of affection is due to the relationship of a soul to soul. As a father is affectionate to his son because there is some relationship of the nearness between his son and father. But that sort of affection in the material world is full of inviolability. When the personality of a Godhead is met, the fullness of affection becomes manifested because of the reality of the affectionate relationship. He is not the object of affection by a material tinges of body and mind, but he is the full, naked, uncontaminated object of affection for all living entities because he is the super soul or Paramatma. Within everyone's heart, in the liberated state of affairs, the full-fledged affection for the Lord is awakened. थोड़ा हिंदी वाला दे दीजिए. हिंदी दे. The conception of affection is due to the relationship of soul to soul. In the Paramatma realization, by seeing the personal feature of the Lord, soul develops some sort of affection for the Lord. And Lord is not the object of material love that we have to understand. Because material love always has some contamination and it results in sufferings, in grief. But the unlimited love that you attain by developing service or devotional to the Lord, that is totally different from what we experience on the material platform. And in the liberated state of affairs, the full-fledged affection for the Lord is awakened. As we have discussed already in the first canto, second chapter, text number 20 or 21. Tatha rajastamo kamadogashchaye chaishta eterana vidyam sthitam sattve prasiddhi. When person sees the Supreme Personality of a Godhead in his heart, then he gets rid of the contamination of material modes of nature. And Sthitam Sattve Prasidati. And he situates himself in the mode of a goodness. Sattve Sukham Sanjaya. And if someone situates himself in the mode of a goodness, then he becomes happy. And when he sees Drishta Evatmanishwara, when he sees the Lord in the heart, then Jivan Mukta, then he gets liberated. And Prabhupada says here, in the liberated state of affairs, the full-fledged affection for the Lord is awakened. And then the love of Godhead awakens in his heart. And further Prabhupada explains that there is an unlimited flow of everlasting happiness without the fear of its being broken, as we have experienced here in the material world. The relationship with the Lord is never broken. Thus, there is no grief and no fear. Such a happiness is inexplicable in words, and there can be no attempt to generate such a happiness by fruitive activities. By arrangements and sacrifices. So the ultimate happiness that you get when you establish a relationship with the Lord. Because all these relations, they are deep-rooted in love. Unless and until you find some love between relations, it will not last long. If there is no love, then do you think that any relation can last long? No. So here he says that because we have experienced that unbroken love with the Lord, in this material world, it's very difficult to experience that, because in material world, all the relations, they are going to get break. It's because of our own attempt of satisfying our own senses, or because of someone is leaving his body, or everything in this material world is being temporary. So the love and affection, what you have for someone, that is also temporary. So that gets broken. But the love for the Lord, it never gets broken actually. That's why there is no suffering also, and there is no fear also. It's fearless and without disturbance. Provided once you attain that. If you don't attain that, then definitely there is a trouble. And most of the Upanishads, they explain about the avyakta feature or formless feature of the Lord. And that's why there is no conception of love. So if you read Upanishads, most of the Upanishads, they explain about the Brahman form of the Lord. They go up to the Brahman realization. Not even up to Super Soul or Paramatma, or forget about the Bhagwan realization. So there is no description about the love of Godhead in that. But that does not mean that the Lord does not have any senses, because it is not explained in the Upanishads. Lord has his own senses, and they are without any contamination. In same way, the liberated or Jivan Muktaha living entities, they are also having their own senses. And as explained in previous chapter itself, that everyone has his own form. When you leave this material form and cross the Viraja river, then there you get your own original form, and with that form you enter into the spiritual world, not with this material form. So all the liberated soul, they have their own form and their particular relationship with the Lord, which gives them unbroken affection and love for the Lord. And Prabhupada says there that the senses of the Lord and senses of the devotees, they are free from all contaminations of this material world. And that's why there is a distinct difference between material and spiritual sense. The senses in the material world are surcharged with the material ignorance. Annasya me rita viveka mahadhanasya chorer mahabhir balibhir indriya namadevya mohandakara kuhre vinipalitasya lakshmi narsimha bhavadehi karavalam. Sripad Shankaracharya, who has spoke about the Mayavan, who has given the impersonal conception of Lord, and very strongly and boldly, he preached about that throughout the Bharatvarsha. And millions of people, till date, they are influenced. The root of this philosophy is that Lord is not having senses. Shankaracharya, he himself glorifies the personal feature of the Lord. Supposed to leave her body, Shankaracharya has given her one promise before taking a sannyas, that whenever she calls him, he will appear in front of her. So when she's supposed to leave her body, she just called for Shankaracharya and she asked, now I'm going to leave my body, so do something for me. Shankaracharya started singing the Shivastuti. As he started singing Shivastuti, before Lord Shiva came, all his ganas, they came first. Bhuta, Pishach, Rakshasas and all, they were there. By seeing them, his mother got scared and she said, what is this? I don't want to hear all this. I want to see the Lordship, who smile on his face and who is always aged in playing the flute. By seeing him, the whole stress of mind, whatever negation that we have in our mind gets nullified. And then Shankaracharya started with the Krishna. And as she's supposed to leave her body and she saw the beautiful form of their Lordship, so what we have to understand from this, that has his own personal feature, which is most attractive and which induce living entity to relate himself with the Lord in some sort of affection. Of rasas in which one can relationship with the Lord. And the activities performed there with the original spiritual senses are totally different from the activities that we perform here in this world. So the happiness, what you get there, is uninterrupted and unbroken. And such a satisfaction of the senses is equally shared by the transcendental reciprocators. Since the activities are unlimited and constantly increasing, there is no scope of material attempt or artificial arrangement. Of transcendental quality is called Brahma Saukyam, which will be clearly described in the 5th canto. That Brahma Saukyam is nicely explained in the 5th canto. So here we see the ultimate happiness, if you want to achieve, then that you get by developing relationship with the Lord. And in that particular relationship, you can love thy Lord with the heart and with the soul. Because that will be your original position. That will be your original engagement in the loving service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Oh, any question, any doubt?
A couple weeks ago, it was in the writing, but we didn't talk about the second point. Could you just briefly go over the second point?
Second born. What is that?
We read it this week or last week.
Where? What was that? With what reference? Twice born is Brahmana, or the person who has the Upanayan Samskara. He is known as a twice born. Upanayan Samskara means this thread that Upavit, when they get it from their spiritual master, that is known as a Upanayan Samskara. And that is known as a twice born, because there is his second birth. First birth is given by the mother, and second birth is given by the spiritual master when he initiates him in a spiritual practices. So that is known as a Dvija. Means he has born second time or twice.
We realize it there after getting initiation, approaching spiritual. That's the Christ. Birds also Christ, right? Birds also Christ, right?
Means?
दो बार जन्म लेता है ना? Once.
Yes, sir.
चिड़िया एक बार घंटा के रूप में दूसरी बार फिर दूसरी बार फिर दोहरा
मतलब
एक बार अंडा के रूप में आता है और फिर चिड़िया निकलता है ना, इसलिए तीसरा लिखा है संस्कृत चिड़िया।
अच्छा, दांतों को भी द्विज कहा गया। दांतों को भी द्विज कहा गया है। So here, with the reference twice born, is the person who has initiated by his spiritual master in his spiritual life. That we have to understand. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.